Hey guys, welcome back to the Power Pack channel, and this is going to be the first video that I'm going to be doing here of storyline breakdowns like I was doing on my own channel. And in this video, this is going to be part 1 of the Batman Knightfall story, and in this video I'm going to be going over the Prelude and issues leading up to it. So there is going to be some minor spoilers, but there isn't that many big reveals and twists that could be spoiled. So just heads up there. So I read these issues in the Batman Prelude to Knightfall trade paperback, which collects Batman Vengeance of Bane #1, which is Bane's first appearance, Batman 484 to 491, and Detective Comics 654 to 658. So it starts out with Bane's first appearance and his origin from growing up in the San Paulo prison and training himself to become super strong, and his mental training and how he learns of the Batman and why he wants to defeat Batman, which is because he hears about Gotham City and he wants to prove himself as being the biggest and strongest by defeating whoever rules Gotham City. The closest thing he finds is Batman. So that's his main mission and motivation, is now to defeat Batman. So in the Batman and Detective Comics issues, it's your typical Batman stories, him fighting his villains and stopping their plans. But in the background, Bane and his crew are watching and Bane studying Batman to try and figure him out and his strategies and his training and how he can possibly defeat him. Also at this same time, Bruce Wayne is starting to really get tired and fatigued mentally and physically from being Batman and Bruce Wayne at the same time. It's starting to take a toll on him, and he is pretty much crippling himself. So he's starting to take a break, and when he's doing this, Robin which is Tim Drake at this point, is starting to train Jean-Paul Valley, or Azrael, to take over as Batman. So Bruce Wayne goes on this break, and Jean-Paul Valley takes over, and he starts wearing the Batman suit. And him and Robin go to stop this break-in, and it turns out that it was orchestrated by Bane. And Bane goes there, and he's about to start fighting Batman, but he realizes that all of a sudden Batman's weaker and not really as trained and focused as the guy he's been watching. So he realizes that's not Batman, that's just a guy in his costume, so he leaves. So Bruce Wayne realizes that Azrael isn't trained enough and he isn't ready to take over as Batman. So he comes back out of his rest, but he wasn't stopping for enough, so he's still tired and fatigued, but he's still forcing himself to be Batman, even though Alfred and Tim Drake are trying to get him to stop. And this is when Bane starts to realize that Batman is in this fatigued and weakened state, so this is when he's going to start his master plan, which in the last issue in Batman 492, he and his crew go and break every single criminal out of Arkham Asylum, and they run free and are set loose in Gotham. And then that's where the main Knightfall story takes place. So what I thought about it. So the main issues of Batman Vengeance of Bane was written by Chuck Dixon, as well as the Detective Comics issues, with Doug Moench writing the Batman issues. So I really enjoyed the writing. It really progressed well with Batman slowly getting weaker and more tired, and the stories of these villains slowly beating at Batman with Bane in the background. I really like the build-up of how they start to explain how Bane's kind of controlling everything. And then also the training of Azrael and Tim Drake and their interactions was really cool in these stories too. And the art, I really enjoyed the art because this is the classic gray suit, blue cape Batman with the really long ears, which I really enjoyed because when I think of Batman, this is the costume that I think of. And there's lots of varying artists like Graham Nolan, Jim Aparo, Michael Netzer, and each with their own style that really adds to the issues and changes it up for every one and the different series. So I'm also going to flip the camera around and show you guys some of the artwork in the actual book and some of the covers that are really awesome. Some of them are done by Sam Keith, who is well known for doing the Max books, and they're just fantastic covers. So let's flip it around and look into that. So here's the trade, and this is the cover of issue 291, which is really awesome with the Joker escaping Arkham there. So you open it up, and it starts off with Vengeance of Bane, which is the graphic novel that explains Bane's origin and how he trains himself to become the epitome and perfection of what a human could be. His experimentations with Venom and how he gets stronger using that. Then we get into the Batman stories with Black Mask, and it kind of re-explains Black Mask's origin, which I liked because I didn't really know that much about Black Mask, so that was nice. And the covers are Michael Golden, which this one right here is really awesome. Then we get into some stories with Headhunter, I believe his name was, and Metalhead, this guy with the spikes. Just some lesser known, not really that big villains, but it starts to get into Bane's controlling of Batman. Then here's one of those awesome Sam Keith covers I was talking about, with Batman breaking through the window there on Detective Comics 654. And also in that issue, Scott Hanna starts to take over on the inking, and you start to get these deep shadows and thick black sections in the inks, which I actually really liked. It kind of added to the certain stories that were going on in those issues. Another Sam Keith cover there. And then as you can see here, this is really where it really starts. Batman's mental and physical fatigue starts to really get to him, and Alfred realizes that he needs to stop. And then Batman 488 is where Batman starts to get Tim Drake to start training Jean-Paul Valley after the Sword of Azrael miniseries that happened before these issues, which is where Azrael was introduced. So as you can see, Tim Drake's got Azrael here in a sort of training costume. And the thing with Azrael is, as a kid, he was slowly hypnotized and implanted with this fighting style called the System, which whenever he gets into a fight, it pretty much takes over, and just he blacks out and starts fighting, and he kills, which, as you guys know, is Batman's #1 rule, not to kill. So that's what Tim Drake's trying to do here with training him, is trying to get that system out of him, and so he can kind of control himself. Here's another awesome Sam Keith cover. And Batman's, again, just at the point where he can't take it anymore, and Azrael takes over for him. The thick inking, which it's a different art style, and I really enjoy it. Especially with this shot right here of Batman, that's really awesome. And then in the last couple issues, we really start to get Bane showing himself to Batman here with Killer Croc coming back. And Bane realizes that Killer Croc can help him with his defeat of Batman. So he goes and tries to get him on his side, which is where, at this point, Jean-Paul Valley is Batman, and this is where you can see here he easily gets defeated by Killer Croc, and then Bane realizes that's not Batman, he's just a pretender. And then tries to he gets the Riddler to start some stuff to call out Bruce Wayne, who is the real Batman, who he wants to eventually defeat. So you can see here he's trying to figure everything out, but he's just too tired and beaten down that he just isn't fully there and prepared, which gets him easily defeated. And then here you can see Bane starting to enact his final plan of breaking out the prisoners in Arkham. So that's my breakdown and thoughts on the Batman Prelude to Knightfall. And keep an eye out for part 2, where I'm going to be going over and reading the main Knightfall series, and then I'll be doing a video on that like this one. If you guys enjoy this, please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And let me know how you thought of the top-down view. It's the first time I've tried to do that, so I'm going to work on it and try and make it look better. And so just let me know what you thought. And see you guys in the next video.